Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Sales Circle, the sales podcast that is designed to help you make more sales. For me, every salesperson, every business owner, every entrepreneur should sell effectively, sell perfectly, give or take, and should refine their sales skills. And this podcast is here to do that. My name is Rob Spence, your host. I am an internationally renowned sales trainer, sales author, sales coach. I'm the managing director of a multi-award-winning sales and marketing agency. And welcome, I think this is episode 8. I could be wrong. I think this is episode 8 of the Sales Circle, or season 2 of the Sales Circle. And if you're new to the podcast, then welcome. Where have you been? I assume you're listening to this because you're an entrepreneur, a CEO, or a salesperson looking to improve their sales skills, and you've come to the right place. Last week we had a fantastic episode all about goodness, what was it about? Rejection and overcoming rejection. And we're going to still kind of touch upon that a little bit. However, we're also going to be apologies, my phone is ringing. That's awfully unprofessional of me. We're going to be covering the importance of the follow-up and how the fortune is in the follow-up, because I don't know about you, but so many people, they'll send one LinkedIn message, they'll make one connection, they'll make one cold call and get nowhere. But then also as well, sometimes we all get into the habit where we send a proposal, we send a quote, we have some great initial conversations. For whatever reason, we are rejected. For whatever reason, we are ignored. For whatever reason, we are ghosted and we give up. And in this episode, we're going to talk about some strategies, some schedules on how you can follow up effectively without being that annoying salesperson. So without further ado, shall we crack on with the episode? So if you're experienced with a lot of my content and the training I do, you will know that I believe the follow-up is probably the most crucial part of any sales process. Of course, we need to overcome objections, which is another episode we're going to do in due course. Of course, we need to prospect effectively. Of course, we need to close really proactively. But actually, when we look at all those elements, probably the thing that really holds everything together is the follow-up. And once again, we've shared statistics, and I've got some more for you today, whereby we learn that actually a lot of sales happen after so many touch points. We learn and we know that, you know, we've got to be following up. We've got to be communicating well with our clients. And let's look at some of those statistics for a second. So here's a statistic we've shared numerous times now on the podcast, and I'm going to really drill it home. 80% of all sales require 5 or more follow-ups. Nearly every sale that you're going to make is going to need to be followed up with. You can't expect someone just to sign a deal with you like on the first contact. Sometimes the second contact. These statistics show up to 5 contacts. I always say between 7 and 12 contacts or follow-ups is ideal. And remember, and now this is the thing what I want you to really get competitive about, right? 44% of salespeople give up after just one attempt. They are statistics pulled out from surveys done by Spotio. 44% of all salespeople give up after just one attempt. We've got to keep pushing for those sales. Now, here's a new statistic that we've not shared on the podcast yet from Inside Sales. This one says 25% of leads, only 25% of leads are followed up more than twice, despite research showing a majority of conversions happen between the 5th and 12th contact. So 25% of leads are followed up only more than twice, but the majority of conversions happen after 5 to 12 points of contact. So I want you to just stop for a second. If you're driving on the motorway, you know, try and leave a voice note to yourself. Obviously do it safely. I'm not expecting you to break any laws. If you're in the office, make a note or just make a mental note. Have a look through and have a think through all your CRM, your prospect list. How many of those have you only followed up with once, twice, 3 or 4 or 5 times? Is it worth picking up the phone to them today? Is it worth sending them an email today? Is it worth dropping them a LinkedIn message today? It is. I want you to get a real return on investment from listening to this podcast, so make sure you do it. But why does following up work? Now, before I kind of go on to the notes, there's one thing that I always kind of say and preach to the sales teams that I work with, right? From an old advertising and marketing adage, we know that we need multiple touch points before a brand, before a conversion sticks in our head, a conversation sticks in our head. Beyond that, you look at Google did a survey, I think it was only a few years ago, and it was a study really, and they released the 7-11-4 rule. And what that kind of alludes to, and maybe we should do a whole podcast about it because it's quite fascinating, is that whenever we make a transaction, we should have seven hours of content across 11 touch points across 4 platforms before we make a deciding choice on who we buy from or what brand we choose. So if that's the case, and if that's what the psychology for the buyer is saying, then surely us as salespeople should be reacting to that. We've got to remember, repetition builds familiarity, it builds trust, it builds a want and a need, right? I think the consumer is done away with snake oil salespeople, double glazing salespeople. Sorry, guys and girls. They want to do business with people that truly want to do business with them, okay? If you're only following up once or twice and then moving on to the next one, they know that you're a magpie. They know you're just chasing after the next shiny object. If you are truly wanting that sale, if you're truly wanting to help your customer, then they're more inclined to buy from you. And that's why those touch points and having multiple contacts is really relevant. Beyond that, life happens. I'm sorry to say this, and don't cry, please. You are not your customer's biggest priority right now. Oh, I know it hurts, right? Your business, your product, your service, your solution is not your customer's biggest priority. To some degree, the pain points, the problems that you are trying to solve for your customer, once again, might not be their biggest priority. Everyone in this world has a business life, a career life, a social life, a love life, a life. You are not your customer's biggest priority. So life happens. Life gets in the way. Sometimes we can send an inquiry to a company asking for a quote. Then lo and behold, partner gets ill. The kids need picking up from school. Lo and behold, it's parents' evening. Lo and behold, you move in house. Life gets in the way. Now, I want to kind of flip and reverse this. I want you to ask yourself this. Why do you stop following up so easy? Why do you not follow up with your prospects? Have a real think about this. I've jotted down 3 ideas as to what I think those are going to be. And please, message in. Please do contact me if you think I've hit the nail on the head here. Salespeople are scared of being annoying. They don't want to be the pest. They don't want to be the bugbear. They don't want to frustrate or annoy their prospect. They've also not got a follow-up plan. They don't plan. They don't strategize. They don't schedule time for follow-ups. And sometimes they misinterpret silence as that kind of objection. Is that objection? Oh, I'm being ghosted. They clearly don't want my products or services. But once again, my arguments, and we're going to talk about this in due course, make your follow-up strategy entertaining, fun, exciting. Make it part of the customer journey and the customer experience. Make sure that all aligns into a plan. And finally, if a customer's being silent, sometimes life gets in the way. We need to show some empathy. We need to show an understanding. And what can we do to break that silence? So here's the thing that I guess you're all waiting for. How can we follow up effectively? Now, I should have said earlier on, please bear in mind that although these podcasts are to help you, improve your sales and think of good strategies, they are not necessarily a sales training. I do offer sales training either one-to-one in groups or virtually or an online course. If you head on over to Paragon Sales Solutions, you'll see all of my online courses. But I'm going to go through some ideas on how you can effectively follow up here. Now, I want to look at this in 2 ways. I want to look at methods and I want to look at time or chronologically. Or strategy, I guess we could say. One of the real reasons, in my opinion, why salespeople don't follow up, or perhaps they feel that they're being annoying, is because the methods of follow-up is rubbish, right? Absolutely rubbish, right? If you ask the majority of salespeople these days, if you say to them, have you followed up with Sally? They say, yeah, I sent them an email. Okay, what about this week? Yeah, I sent them an email. Okay, 2 weeks ago, sent them an email. How many emails have you sent? I've sent three emails. If one method is not working, why are you going to keep going along with it? Remember, every salesperson has a sales toolbox, a sales toolkit. When I come to, if I were to book someone in to do this room up, to renovate it, to get it looking smart, I don't have a workman or work lady turn up with just a screwdriver. They come loaded with a flathead, a Phillips, with a wrench, with brushes, with white spirit, with rugs. They come with, chisels. They come with hammers, nails, spirit levels, everything. They've got a toolkit. And so do you. If someone's not responding to your emails, send them a LinkedIn message. If someone doesn't respond to that, send them a video. If someone doesn't respond to that, pick up the phone. If someone doesn't respond to that, send a handwritten letter. If someone doesn't respond to that, go and pay them a visit in their office. Send them a LinkedIn voice note. Send them another email. Maybe send them a message on a different social media platform. Send them a WhatsApp. You can see the point I'm trying to get to here. Every salesperson has a sales toolkit, and you should too. We should utilize tools that are available to us to mix up that methodology. And as well, if they're, in my opinion, they're like the top level things, right? They're the kind of carriers. But what about the messaging itself? Can we mix up the messaging? Instead of sending a message saying, hey, just following up, just checking in, want to make sure you got my proposal. Hey, once again, boring. Why would anyone want to respond to that? Yeah, I did get your proposal, thanks. Thank you. What open questions can we use to entice a conversation? Can we close, maybe not necessarily the deal, but can we close a follow-up call, a coffee, a lunch, a dinner, whatever it is? Can we have some fun? Once again, why send an email saying, hey, just checking in, hey, just following up here, hey, when we can send a nice fun video? Well, we can send them a news article that could help them and benefit them in their business. There's so much we can do. Now, we've got our tools. We know what we should be doing. The big question I always get is how often? How often should I follow up? Now, once again, there's no wrong or right answer here. It all depends on multiple factors, and most of those depend on the human being that you're speaking with. Some people need the nudge. They need the little elbow. They need the little prompt. Some people want to be left. They want to be left to think. So you as a salesperson should be looking for those clues and those cues. The best piece of advice, the best advice I could give you on this subject is ask your prospect for their guidance. Hey, listen, now I've sent that over to you. Look, I'm not doing my job properly if I'm not sort of making sure you've got all the information you need, and I would love to stay in touch. Can I just ask, how often would you like to hear from me, and what's the best way you'd like to hear from me? That customer could say, yeah, do you know what? I'm really forgetful. Make sure you follow up. I need to move on this quick, so check in with me in a couple of days, but just drop me an email. Okay, perfect. I then know exactly what I need to do. Can I be accused of being annoying if I follow those rules? Absolutely not. Lo and behold, the customer could say, do you know what? I'm probably not going to move on this for another 2 weeks. I've got some of the meetings with some of the suppliers. So look, why don't you contact me in 2 to 3 weeks? By then, I'll kind of dive through and got all the information I need. Perfect. I know exactly what the rules will state. But I always say, as a general rule of thumb, okay, general rule of thumb, anywhere between every 4 to 8 days for a follow-up. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but everywhere between 4 to 8 days. From my experience, those 4 to 8 days are vital in staying fresh in someone's mind, proving to your customer that you do want to do business with them, and not allowing them to forget about you, but also make sure that you're not being too annoying. Now, in every interaction, as I said earlier, make sure you add that value. There's no point in just checking in. There's no point in, just following up. Make sure that your contact points are beneficial, are useful, are helpful. Now, you will probably be asking, look, Rob, when do I know when to let go? I've contacted this person 12 times now, and they're just not getting anywhere. They're being silent. They're being quiet. Here's my advice. Keep going until your prospect tells you to stop. It's as simple as that. If you truly want the sale, if you truly want that business, keep going until you get a definitive no. So many people are very scared, and we said earlier, like, they take ghosting or silence as an objection, as a rejection. Oh no, they clearly don't want us, right? But actually, when we think about it, isn't it better to get a definitive no from our customer? We then truly know not to go ahead. Sometimes that does require effort, and I think that's the biggest thing that's missing with salespeople these days: a lack of effort. They can't be bothered. Salespeople, and I'm going to go on a rant here. Salespeople would rather pay for an automation to send 1,000 connection requests on LinkedIn, 500 messages a day, and hope that they make a sale, instead of truly getting the relationships and instead of truly wanting that sale. If you truly want the sale, go and pay your customer a visit in their office. I've got a good story to share with you about this, actually, and I can't wait to share this story with you, because when I share this story with you, this underlines exactly my point on this topic, and you're going to absolutely love it. So I'll give that to you in a second. But don't be afraid to truly go out there and hunt it. Doesn't make you look desperate. Doesn't make you look sad. If anything, it proves to your customer that you truly want to help them and you truly want to do business with them. The Sales Circle is proudly sponsored by Paragon Sales Solutions, an all-round sales and marketing agency that has won multiple awards for not just generating leads, but for helping you to close them as well. If you and your business want to see more leads, booking inquiries, then please do visit paragonsalesolutions.co.uk. Now, I want to share with you two stories. I hinted at one, I want to share you two with you. One involves me, one involves a client of mine. First story. I've shared this story many times. I met a HR guy, external HR director at a networking event, and he wanted our business. Okay, we had some initial conversations. Wasn't right for us at the time. Didn't really need it. I didn't really see the value, if I'm honest. Anyway, we stayed in touch, had the odd catch up. I could see that he kept liking my posts, commenting on my posts, sending me the odd message here, there, and everywhere. Lo and behold, this individual sent me a DM on LinkedIn with a link. It was at the time during COVID when Kickstarter was becoming a thing, which was, full transparency, was great for our business. And this person said, look, Rob, I know you don't need my services. Here's an article about Kickstarter. It wasn't even written by him. It was from someone else. He said, look, obviously I think I know your business now, and I know you. I know that this could work really well for you and your company. Have a look, have a read. And if you want to learn more, let's just grab a coffee. We'll have a chat and just see if it's right for your business. Lo and behold, it was right for the business. Lo and behold, we went ahead with it. Lo and behold, we used him as a HR director. Now, here's the other thing. I have been delivering and working with a company for quite a few months now on their sales training. And we went through this training with them in a bit more detail, obviously, than what we're doing in the podcast today. And one of the gentlemen, he came up to me and said, Rob, I did what you said and it got me an order. I was like, what do you mean? What? I mean, I said a lot of things, so hopefully one thing worked. And he said, I was trying to get business from a supplier. From a prospect, and she just wasn't taking action. This individual, this buyer, was not moving forward. They were being quite slow, always too busy, and getting to the point where they were always too busy for a call. So do you know what he did? Took a box of biscuits. Simple. Box of biscuits, 3 or 4, 5 quid, from your local supermarket. He took a box of biscuits. And he popped into, he didn't even see the individual. He popped into reception, put a little note on it as well and said, hey, look, I know such and such is really busy. Don't want to disturb her. I know she's rammed out at the minute. My name's such and such from this company. Can you just drop these off for her? I've not forgotten about her, and hopefully we can chat soon. Within 1 week, he'd taken an order from her. It just goes to show, if you want the business, get out there and go hunt it down. Move on to our listeners' questions. As always, if you do have a burning question about sales, if maybe you've got a prospect you're working on and you can't get the right solution, maybe you're struggling on something, maybe you're struggling to close, please send your questions in. I'm getting a nice bank of questions now, and I'm trying to align those questions to the episode that we're doing. There's a couple of ways you can contact me. First of all, hunt the Sales Circle down on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. Head on over, drop a question, and I'll pick up on it. You can also email in to thesalescircleofficial@gmail.com, or hunt down myself, Rob Spence, on LinkedIn and send me a message on there. And I've picked out 3 questions. 3 questions here. First one is from Adam, and we've kind of actually answered this already. How often is too often to follow up with a prospect? Once again, we said earlier, there's 2 ways we can look at this. One, we should be setting our ground rules with our customer. We should be asking them questions as to how often they want to be contacted, what's the best way to contact them, and everything else in between. If you've not got those, between 4 to 8 days is a real nice starting point. Nothing too soon, nothing too lapsed. You've got to think about it. If you send a proposal on a Thursday, 4 days' time, that's only Tuesday anyway. We want to find that nice balance between being fresh of mind and keeping in contact and not overwhelming nor devaluing the relationship. So thanks for the question, Adam. Hope that helps. Next question is from Carrie. Thanks for emailing in, Carrie. What's the best way to follow up without being annoying? Just to kind of reiterate my points earlier, I think the reason salespeople feel like they're being annoying is because they keep doing the same thing again and again and not getting anywhere. And that is annoying, right? We've all had those emails, just following up, just checking in. And it becomes a habitual routine for the prospect just to delete the email, mix it up, have some fun with it. I shared a story about a HR director that sent me an article that eventually got the sale for him. So can you share value? Can you share articles? Can you send in a gift, a box of biscuits? Can you send a video? I've been known to sing songs to prospects. Obviously, I've known them really well, but I've, sent a voice note where I'm singing down the phone to people before. It becomes memorable and less annoying. It's more fun, more jovial, and much more of a personal point. So if you feel like you're being annoying, then you more than likely are. But if you mix up the how and you mix up the what, you'll be absolutely fine. Final question. I don't think there was a name on this one. How do I handle prospects who go completely silent after a promising first conversation? Two ways to look at this. We mentioned earlier how your prospect has a life, right? Everyone's got a life. If they have gone silent, don't take it personally. And if you are starting to take things personally, head on over to last week's episode where we talked a bit more about rejection. Everyone has the right to go silent. Everyone has the right to nullify and turn away for a while. Be patient, show empathy, show understanding. Once again, mix up your methods of contact. Like I say, I still stand by, if you truly want the sale, go out there and get it, right? Can you pick up the phone? Can you knock on the door? Can you send a WhatsApp? You can see the point I'm trying to get to. Until you hear a definitive no, don't think it's a rejection, okay? Keep going until the end. That takes us to the end of the questions. So thanks so much for those that have sent those in. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, if you do have a burning question, please do send them in. I'd love to hear from them and we'll feature them on an episode. Every week in the podcast, I share a book that I recommend, a book that I've read, a book that I believe in, and a book that I think that you should read. I say this week after week. I'm a big believer that salespeople should never stop learning. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see a big pile of books to my right-hand side. And today's book is a beast. Last week, I shared Zig Ziglar's Selling 101, quite a small book, petite book. We then look at the Sales Bible by Jeffrey Gitomer, and my oh my, it's a thick book, but a very relevant book, a very good book. In fact, actually, I will go as far as saying any book written by Jeffrey Gitomer is a fantastic book and one that you should read. Jeffrey Gitomer, I think, is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, sales trainer, sales authors, and probably has been my most motivational and inspirational over the years. He's authored, dozens of books over the years. I know he's got a podcast. I'm just looking at a photo in this book now, and he looks very much younger to how he used to. And anything that you can read is a great book. And this one here, the Sales Bible, is labeled on the front, the ultimate sales resource. As you can, if you're watching, you can see. If you're listening, I've picked up the hardback, and it's a beast of a book. It's quite old now. I'm just trying to find the print date. It's got to be 90s, maybe, give or take. 1994 copyrighted. But Jeffrey has got such a great way of writing sales books that are fun, jovial, but still give you good value. He's not as straight-laced, I'd say, as some other sales trainers, but once again, his books are fantastic. Just to give you a brief synopsis, is there a blurb here? I don't think there is actually a blurb, but he's had some good reviews. Oh no, here we go. Salespeople are looking for one thing: answers. In the Sales Bible, Jeffrey Gitomer describes methods and techniques that really work every day in real-world selling situations. In short, answers. Carry it with you, overcome objections as they happen, read one short chapter in the Sales Bible, and watch your sales results improve immediately. This book is a goldmine of practical hands-on information for sales professionals with tips that include 39.5 ways to sales success, top-down selling, 25 ways to get the appointments, 19.5 buying signals, how to fill your sales pipeline, 10 great cold call opening lines, and everything else in between. And I think what's really nice, I'm not too sure if you can see that on the camera there, I'm not too sure if that will focus. However, he has got, a dozen recommendations and reviews from great sales trainers and authors such as Ken Blanchard, who was the co-author of 1 Minute Manager, Brian Tracy, of course, Jim Cathcart, amongst some other people as well. A great read, and I really, really recommend it. Like I say, every time I've picked up a Jeffrey Gitomer book, especially on sales, I've been excited. Weirdly, they're probably some of the only sales books, apart from my own, of course, where I think I don't want to put this down and I can't wait to read it again. So please do go grab a copy of the Sales Bible. If you look at the show notes below, whether you're watching this on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Apple Podcasts or Amazon Podcasts, we're also on there. I'll drop the show a link to pick up this book below. A great read, and I thoroughly recommend it. So that's the end of today's episode. I hope you had a great listening experience. I hope there was at least one thing that you can pick away from this podcast, one thing that's going to help you improve your sales. Now, here's my theory. If you're going to improve your sales, you're going to make more money. If you're making more money, that's kind of down to me. So I've got one small favor to ask of you. Please, before you go anywhere, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, please hit the follow button. Leave us a 5-star review and share it to at least 2 salespeople that you know. If it's helped you, I've no doubt it will help them, which is only going to improve the quality of salespeople around the globe. Following up is such a simple thing that salespeople can do, and yet is so important, but also so neglected. If you truly want the sale, if you truly want to help your customer, if you truly want to benefit them, their life, their business, whatever it is, and you truly want to work with them, then follow up. Most of the time, you are doing your prospect a favor by following up. And I'm a big believer that actually you're doing your customer a disservice, a dissatisfaction, and delivering poor customer service if you aren't following up, as long as it's done in the right manners. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of The Sales Circle. Remember, these come out every Thursday. The audio is released at 5:30 in the morning, with the video being released at 5:30 in the afternoon on Thursdays in the afternoon on YouTube. And of course, follow us on social media for short snippets, bonus content, exclusive content. Until next time, all the best. And that's it for another episode of The Sales Circle. Make sure you hit that follow button, join us over on social media, and we'll see you next week.